Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Batman and the Outsiders, number 13 through 16. Another trip down memory lane. One of my favorite series ever, Batman and the Outsiders by Mike W. Barr and Jim Aparo. So cool. Can't wait to show you guys. Make sure you hit subscribe and like. I'm going to cue the intro and I'll be right back.
MichaelFitzTroytv Comic book art critiques. Snark, pizza, and sarcastic ways. Levels and geeky gaze. Aliens, comics, rule the day. Hurry up and turn that page. MichaelFitzTroy.
Alright, so continuing my look at Batman and the Outsiders, the old school series from the 80s, one of my favorite superhero book comics. 4 issues at a time. So we've already done 1 through 12 and annual 1. And now we're going to do 13 through 16. Starting with 13, I love this cover. This is so great. Jim Aparo really just brought the noise on the covers. They always told a story. They were always dynamic. They always featured multiple characters. And this is back in the day when, I love it. It's the 13th issue, so it's their first anniversary. Their first anniversary may be the last. Fan out. We got to find him before it's too late, and he's right there. And I love speech balloons on comics. I know it's not popular, and they don't really do it that much anymore, but what are you going to do? So this is interesting. So Jim Aparo did do the lion's share of the art on Batman and the Outsiders, but he was penciling, inking, and lettering and sort of pitching in on the annual, so he did need help every now and then, and there was a fill-in issue. And this issue is illustrated by Dan Day and Pablo Marcos, written by Mike W. Barr. Ben Oda is the letterer, and Adrian Roy is the colorist. That's interesting because when Jim Aparo takes the day off, you have to get a penciler, an inker, and a letterer to replace him. In the chill of the night. I love when comic books had titles for their stories. This is Geoforce's original costume, the one that looked more like his sister Tara's before she betrayed the Titans and killed them all. I'm just kidding. She didn't kill them all, but then he got his own green and yellow costume to sort of disassociate himself and be his own person. It's funny. I really love seeing The Outsiders drawn by different people, which is never normally the case. Like with the Titans or Alpha Flight, like I want George Perez on Titans, I want John Byrne on Alpha Flight, and I think that since I started reading The Outsiders with Alan Davis as the artist, I'm more comfortable with seeing a bunch of different artists draw him. And what a cool panel that is. I love that. Such great effect. And then you have Gaby. They're kind of all in action here. What a great panel. They're switching into their costumes. That's a great halo effect. What a great shot here. Katana hanging out on the rooftops. You go, Dan Day, with your pencils. And of course I know the name Dan Day and Pablo Marcos. Pablo Marcos is kind of an interesting inker. He's kind of known for being heavy-handed and really altering other artists' work. So I kind of would really have loved to seen Dan Day's pencils here, especially since he's doing a lot of really creative layouts and fun artistic things, just like spotting the blacks and great use of negative space here. Love that. Great angled cityscape. Really cool art here. Fun. Halo has one of the best comics costumes ever. Love seeing that. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in here. Outsiders was always fun. I always loved Mike W. Barr's writing. He always introduced such great villains and great, like, somewhat heavy stories sometimes. Very cool. I love The Outsiders. So much fun. It was never the same after the series, like the Judd Winnick deal and stuff. I don't know, thank you. I mean, I don't hate Judd Winnick as a writer, but just some of the characters he introduced and whatever, it seemed a little masturbatory. You know how some writers are kind of like that. They just like have to throw in their little things that they love and whatever. Batman and the Outsiders, number 14. Now this one is very interesting. The Wrath of Zeus. So here comes some more new fun Jim or Mike W. Barr villains. So what I love about this issue is it's guest illustrated by Bill Willingham, who is mostly known for creating Fables. So he's mostly known as a writer, but he's also an artist as well. I was introduced to his art through The Elementals for Kamiko, one of my favorite books of all time. If you guys are familiar with that, it's amazing. It's definitely worth checking out. The art was terrific. I don't know why he abandoned his art. It seems like, I don't know. I can't say off the top of my head. Maybe just because it's so much easier to write than it is to draw a monthly comic book, obviously. But he just had a really fun, sort of unique style. A little reminiscent of John Byrne. I mean, maybe by a little, a lot. I mean, I definitely see a John Byrne influence, and that's perhaps why I like his art so much, as I am one of the biggest John Byrne fans ever. Such a great silhouette of Halo there. I mean, if you haven't seen The Elementals, it is definitely worth checking out. Interestingly enough, at last issue, Brian Markov, Geoforce, was still in his brown and orange costume, which is explaining the fill-in artists here, because the annual must be happening, and the annual was the first appearance of his new costume. And there's Katana looking kind of sexy for the first time. She always seems so dowdy and just sort of utilitarian in a way. More like a warrior than a woman. Not that they can't be both before everyone starts freaking out. Great Batman. You know, Bill Willingham did some minimal work penciling for DC. I want to say he did some Green Lantern, and I can't say what else. Perhaps Batman. I need to look into that. But I think he did a terrific job on this fill-in issue, because I really love his art. I know certain panels like that just really cracked me up. This is Gaby, who has a crush on Brian, trying to make his date jealous. What a great shot of Batman there. I love that. I love when they lean into, like, the shadows and just the different effects and how cool you can make Batman. A little foreshadowing for Crisis on Infinite Earths here. Love that. That's the Monitor. You can't see his face, but I know it's him. Because that's his ship. Oh, and she's cracking up. She thinks it's hilarious. And him, not so much. Although they do wind up kissing. I did like them as a couple. I think there was so much... Like, I feel like the Outsiders got cut short a little bit. I think the whole move, and it might have affected the Titans in a way too, when they decided to do, like, their deluxe books and sort of relaunch number ones, but then continue with the newsstand version, if that makes any sense to you guys. They did that. And I feel like the regular monthlies, I love when presidents show up in comic books, even if it is Ronald Reagan, the Gipper. So much fun. If you love Bill Willingham and need some of his art, you definitely need to seek this out. I can't imagine this book costing a lot of money. Great team shot there. Totally cool. Love that. So awesome. All right, so that was 14. Let's move on to number 15. And do we have the return of Jim Aparo yet? Not quite. Mike W. Barr, writer, editor, Trevor Von Eden, guest artist. I think I gagged a little the first time I saw Trevor Von Eden's art. He did a lot of fill-in stuff on Batman and the Outsiders, and his style was so sketchy and weird to me that it was a little off-putting at first, but then I really grew to love him. And, I mean, how can you not? What a great splash page that is. Great double-page spread. Very heavy, thick lines. Very, like, it's looking a little Kyle Baker, a little Bill Sienkiewicz. But, I mean, Trevor Von Eden is a classic artist in his own right, so I think it's fun. It looks like he didn't even pencil or anything. He just went in with a brush and just started doing his business, but I obviously don't know that. But it's cool. It's kind of fun. I like it. It's kind of refreshing. Departure from the classic house style superhero looks that you usually get, especially from DC around the time. I think that, what the hell is this? Driving Force, Flash Force 2000, the exciting action-packed adventures of Flash Force 2000. I have no idea what that is, no memory whatsoever. But Dennis Cohen is the penciler, so that's a good thing. Love his art. Another throwaway, looks like a toy tie-in or something. Some waste, some 80s thing that didn't pan out. Big shock. Let's get back. That's a fun page there. Anyway, back to The Outsiders. I swear to God, like, if I were to go write at DC Comics for some reason, I would just, like, I would mine all the villains of Batman and The Outsiders and use them, because there is, like, nonstop, very cool villains. And here we come. And I feel like this is right before I started reading Batman and the Outsiders, The Truth About Halo, when Alan Davis eventually takes over. But this is part one, The Truth About Halo. Halo is one of my favorite characters. Batman discovers her. She has an amnesiac, so she's Gabrielle Doe at first, and then they call her Gaby. And she finds out that she was really Violet Harper, who was like this criminal. But then she finds out, spoilers, that she's really just this alien creature who took over the body of Violet Harper after she was killed by the villain Cyanide. So, very cool, involved storyline, and I loved it. Don't you know us, Halo? We're your mother and father. I love covers like that. The intrigue, the excitement. Like I said, one of the best costumes in comic book history. Oh, this is so cool. I love this. The oracles. That's Halo's true origin. She's one of these light creatures from another dimension, and she's obviously having dreams about that. So very fun and cool. I love that. It's funny, this is a perfect example. I don't know, like, Jim Aparo is, like, a very good artist. Like, he just seems so technical and, like, such a, like, quintessential, like, classic comic book storyteller artist. But then he gives you, like, really artistic, fun things like that. Like the missing face. I'll take it. So, Batman, one of the things he promised Halo is that he would try to figure out who she was and where she came from. And after fighting crime for him for 2 years, he finally decides to dust off the old magnifying glass and fingerprint kit and find out who the F this chick is. But she's like sort of, you know, adapting to human life, and, you know, she's got friends, she's dating Geoforce. Rex Mason and Sapphire Stag. I love Metamorpho. What was he part of a group, or did he have his own book? I'd love to look up like old Metamorpho comics and just see how fun and kooky they must have been. Anyway, part one, The Truth About Halo. They find her parents and she leaves the Outsiders to go live with these creepy strangers. But all is not what it seems, so we're going to have to stay tuned for the next installment and find out what happens. Another fun trip down memory lane with Batman and the Outsiders by Mike W. Barr and Jim Aparo, and guest artist galore. So much fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Totally appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you some more later. All right, thank you.